some people don't even know they are overeating. Some people don't even know they binge eat. Binge eating is an eating disorder, and nobody wants to be associated with a disorder. However, most of us have this problem. If you have ever eaten and if you've ever eaten something and you feel you're really eating out of control, you feel you are eating more than you should, or you find yourself sneaking to eat, maybe you want to eat when people are not around because you are ashamed of the quantity you have eaten, or you really find it difficult to stop eating, or you take laxatives or induce vomiting after eating so much, my dear, you have a binge eating disorder. You have an eating disorder. However, I'm just going to talk about how to stop overeating generally. When you have something extreme, you have to see your mental health professional because it's a mental disorder. So let's go on tips to stop overeating. I'm going to tell you the tips that I use and it worked for me. Tips you can use to control the way you eat, control binge eating, control overeating. And the first one is you have to challenge your behavior of eating. First of all, everything starts from your mindset. So if you are aware you are overeating, you are conscious of it, and the next thing you have to do is to challenge this. You should consciously remind yourself that what you're doing is actually not going to help you. So put it upon yourself to stop eating, especially when you're full. The problem is some people don't even know they are binge eating. Some people don't know that they are really overeating until they start adding up weight. Okay, tip number 2, identify your trigger food. Identifying your trigger food is really important in the fight of overeating. So if you know the food that you have tendency of overeating, if you know the particular food that makes you want to eat, that makes you overeat, especially when you indulge in certain food, studies have shown that our body crave for carbohydrate and fat food. So when most food we overeat are usually high carb and fat food. Of course, nobody overeats celery because it's not sweet. So when you identify your trigger food, then you stop eating them. How do you even stop eating them? Take them out of sight. Of course, out of sight, they say it's out of mind. Studies have actually shown that keeping unhealthy food like sodas, sweet chocolates, biscuits out of sight helps you reduce eating it. It controls the way you eat them. Of course, you're not going to see them, and when you replace them with a healthy one, you have the tendency of eating more healthy food. Again, personally, I prefer not eating them at all. So I usually have my share on bread, white bread. I have it on so many food, even almond, because I eat a lot of almond nuts. I found out that because I eat this bread so much, what I do is I don't start eating it at all. Of course, there's no how I can remove bread from my house because I have younger ones at home. I have my husband at home. So there's no how I can take them out. But what I do is I avoid it getting into my mouth because once I start eating it, I don't stop. So identify your trigger food and avoid them. Even if you can't take them away, just avoid eating it because sometimes it's easier to avoid it than starting and stopping. Sometimes stopping is actually the problem and you need discipline for that. And that is why tip number 1 is important. You have to be conscious of your behaviors and work on discipline. Tip number 3, stop dieting. Most diets avoid food. Most diets are restrictive. And then when you engage in all these restrictive diets like keto, paleo, Atkins, and all other type of dieting, they tend to restrict you from eating certain foods. Most popular diets these days don't really teach you about portion control because when you start eating, as long as you're eating what is in the diet plan, as long as you're eating within this diet plan, you don't usually do. And when you have achieved your body goal, when you have achieved the weight you want, you have the tendency of eating this food. It happens to me. Like I said, one thing I'm talking about is how I was able to overcome overeating. So while dieting, I've done different types of dieting, and then I realized that during my cheat days, I tend to eat so much. In fact, the days that are my cheat days, I bake cakes, I bake different pastries, and I keep eating, eating, and eating. This is so dieting. Like, it's not really funny. So you see, dieting stops you from eating food you like, and the more you restrict yourself from eating foods that you like, the more the tendency of craving, the more you crave these foods. And when you get hold of these foods, you're not going to stop eating. I'm telling you, you're not really going to stop because you've really missed them. A study on women noticed that abstaining from certain foods resulted in increased craving and higher risk of overeating. So dieting is a no for us. Besides, dieting is not really the best way of weight loss. I've made a video on dieting, why dieting doesn't really help you lose weight in the long run, and you can check the description to find out more about it. So let's go to the next tip. Tip number 4: take your time, eat your food slowly, and concentrate while eating your food. Here is the gist. While you're eating, the hormones send signal to your brain that you are full, and it takes about 20 minutes to do that. And then if you are distracted while eating, for instance, you're pressing your phone, you're watching the TV or the computer, or you're doing something else while eating, you're going to find out that your brain is already distracted. You have a tendency of overeating. Yes, because your brain is already distracted. It has so many activities going on, and you find out that before you get full, you discover you must have overeaten. Again, eating slowly and taking your time to chew your food before eating it also help you eat lesser. People who eat very fast, they overeat. Personally, I eat so fast because I grew up learning how to eat so fast. I went to a boarding school that in the morning is always like a rush hour. You have to rush to this class, rush to the chapel, rush. So even when you eat, you rush your breakfast because you have to go to class, rush your lunch because you have to go and take your siesta. You also rush your dinner because you have to go for night prep. So we keep rushing and rushing everything. So I grew up rushing my food. I'm usually embarrassed that when I'm with friends, before you say, Jack, I'm already done with my food, and I'm looking, I'm the only one. So, and I found out that I also overeat because when you're eating so fast, you're rushing your food, you don't have time. I mean, it takes time for your brain to register you are full. So you see that if you're eating slowly, your food has time, you have time to chew your food properly, and then it gets to your stomach. Before you finish a plate of food, your brain must have registered that you are full already anyway, and then you stop eating. So learn to take your time and eat, stop rushing, concentrate and eat. And you can also use a smaller plate. When you use small plates to eat, let's take for instance, you use a very small plate and it's full. So you're looking at it like this food is so big. But when you're using a very, very big plate with small quantity of food inside, you're going to feel like, this food is just so small. It's so small. And then you already register that food is not going to be enough for you. Of course, our mindsets really plays important role when it comes to eating. The next tip is exercise. It's going to be surprising. I mean, you're surprised I said exercise because you know that you can't tell a hungry man to start exercising. Anyway, that's not what I mean. Exercising really plays a role when it comes to our moods and hunger and many things in our body. Exercise helps release endorphins, which plays a very vital role in our mood. Personally, I feel full. In fact, I don't even feel hungry each time I exercise. After exercise, it takes me about 30 to 45 minutes before I can even think of food, because I feel full. And then while exercising, you take fluids, and then it makes you satisfied and you don't really crave food. And besides, the time you use in exercise will also save you from eating, because you can't be eating and exercising. So if you do about 1 hour exercise, for instance, 1 hour aerobics, you see, even if you're always eating, at least you're not going to eat for that 1 hour. And let's say the endorphins in your body are at work, you see, 1 hour plus another 45 minutes, that will save you a lot. So exercise. The next tip is drink water. Taking water before eating. In fact, studies have shown that taking water before eating will help you get satisfied. So if you're the type that's always eating and eating, you don't know when you're full, you don't easily get full, taking water before eating will help you get full. And drinking while eating is also very good, because when you are eating and you're drinking water, your stomach is just your stomach anyway. Not everyone is advised to drink water while eating, because we all have different conditions. But if you're okay, if you're healthy and you don't have any problem with digestion, try and drink water while eating. It really helps. Next thing, make a food prep. Plan your food ahead of time. Prepare your food. So food prep really helps when it comes to helping with cravings, helping with overeating, and even helping with weight loss. I've made a video on food prep, so you may like to check the description for the link to this video and then watch to learn more about how food prep can help you lose weight. So back to overeating. Preparing your food ahead of time will really save you a lot. Now, this is what happens. When you've sat down to make a food plan of what you're going to eat in the morning, lunch, dinner, and even your snacks. So you've made a low carb food or snacks, you buy healthy things as snacks and keep at home. Okay, so let's say you've planned what you're going to eat and you've already cooked them. You put it in a plate and in the fridge. You put them in fact, just watch the video of food prep. So when you've prepared your food ahead of time, it's really going to save you a lot. It's going to save you from stress of thinking of what to eat. It's going to save you from impulse eating, just putting anything in your mouth. And it's going to, in fact, you need to watch this video, because these are things we really neglect when it comes to weight loss. But here we're talking about overeating. So it's really going to help you prevent overeating, because when you have things you've already made up your mind to eat, you don't really want to start eating something else. So just make your food prep, get them at home, and get your healthy snacks, divide them according to how you want to eat it, and your problem may be solved. Of course, it solved mine. The next, eat before you start starving. You are not supposed to starve. Our body is a whole lot of system, so starving is not an option. And the last tip we just mentioned is going to help you with this tip. Why? How? Because when you've made a food prep, it's going to save you stress of thinking of what to eat. It's going to save you from starving. So if you eat before you're hungry, or when you are hungry, you're really not going to starve. Starving really does a lot to us. When you're starving, you have the tendency of craving food, and most times we crave carbohydrate and fatty food. So when you've eaten, you're not really going to starve, and starving stresses our body. It stresses us. So it's also going to help to relieve stress. And again, avoid stress. It's really going to go a long way. Next tip, avoid skipping meals. Skipping meals is not really good for us. In fact, this tip is linked to the last tip. So avoid skipping meal. When you skip meal, you have the tendency of starving. And studies have shown that, study on adolescent girls found that fasting was associated with high risk of binge eating. So stop skipping meal, especially breakfast. Studies have also showed that skipping breakfast increases your risk of overeating and even overweight. But If you don't feel hungry, it's okay. Like personally, I don't take breakfast sometimes anyway, because when I know I'm going to work by 6, obviously I don't eat by 6. However, sometimes I do. I just boil eggs and eat, no matter how small, just eat something before going out. So skipping food is not actually the best for us. Other tips that I'm gonna mention are: avoid eating food directly from its container. Is it not obvious? Eating from the container is really going to make you unaware of the quantity you've taken. And when you eat directly from container, you are going to overeat. So it's wise to pour your chips or whatever snack it is you're eating in a plate and eat. See what you're eating and eat, or going to the pot directly to eat from the pot. You have a tendency of overeating because you don't even know the quantity you've taken, and such food we usually rush them. Sleeping is very important in overeating, especially sleeping early. I've made a video on how to stop late night snacking, late night eating, so you can just check the description for this video. So sleeping too helps you reduce eating, helps you reduce overeating. So let's say you go to bed early, because it's advised to get at least 8 hours of sleep, and you go to bed early. Of course, you can't be eating, and you cannot be eating while you are sleeping. So you see, sleeping really helps. And again, it helps with your hormones in our body, and it helps relieve stress. And stress too is a very bad trigger for overeating. A study shows that shorter sleep duration was associated with higher level of hunger hormone ghrelin and lower levels of leptin hormone, which promotes fullness. So okay, so learn how to sleep. Other tips, I'm just gonna mention them. Keep healthy food at home. When you keep healthy food at home, no matter how hungry you are and you want to overeat, at least you're eating a healthy food anyway. That is why I make snacks. You can check my videos and you see a lot of healthy snacks options you can try, and then it really saves you a lot. Clean out your kitchen. So get rid of junk food from your kitchen, junk soda, get rid of them from your kitchen. And the last but not the least, eat high fiber food. So learn to indulge in high fiber food, avoid so much processed food, and again, you can just brush your teeth. So thank you for watching to this end. Thank you for watching my video. Please remember to subscribe and hit this notification bell. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share, and thank you. You can also link up on Instagram anyway. My Instagram link is in the description box. Thank you for coming. Bye.